It's time for Bourbon with Friends, the bourbon podcast that never takes itself too seriously. Pull up a chair, grab a glass, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bourbon with Friends. My name is Bryan. I'm here with Ryan Thompson, Rob Dietrich, and Shawn Hogan with Bourbon with Friends. We're going to talk about whiskeys from around the world, and we're going to talk about how a Bourbon with Friends can change the world. How are you guys doing today?
Solid.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
We're, I think this might be a little bit different backdrop than you've had previously.
Previously, I mean, there's barrels in our background normally for this podcast, but now that we're actually in the distillery, in the tasting room, with different hosts this time, it's kind of fun. Adriane and Martin are actually out with their families today, so I hope they have a blessed 4th of July, and everybody out there is having an amazing 4th of July today when we're recording this. Of course, this will get released later on, but yeah, I'm happy to be here with you guys, and this backdrop, as always, is absolutely phenomenal.
I think I might be able to speak for Shawn in this regard, but it's an honor of ours to be able to sit at this table with two veterans to keep us free and to celebrate America. Absolutely. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
It means a lot.
Thank
means
you.
a lot.
Absolutely, Joe.
So we're here to celebrate not only the 4th of July, but also your barrel pick together to Master Distillers. I know one person hates this so much here, but he is one. He's been doing it for almost 10 years now, and we have to consider him a person who knows the knowledge and knows the basis of whiskey in general.
Just don't like the nomenclature sometimes. I feel like I can do it here, but could I do it somewhere else? So that's why I don't
Doing
know.
20 years, does that become your title? 30
Maybe,
years?
yeah,
Maybe, right?
Yeah,
It's-
we're going to do 20 years? Okay.
I really appreciate how humble
Rob's
you are
done
about
it a million different places. I've only done it once. So I'm like, yes, I'm the Master Distiller here. But
So,
go ahead.
no, please keep going. Keep going.
That's it. Go ahead.
Well, I feel like the term master distiller, for me, it always means I know enough to know that I don't know everything.
Right.
Yes.
And that
There's
there's always going to be
so
learning.
much.
So
There's so
it doesn't
much.
mean you know everything. It means that you're always learning. It means you always got something on.
Absolutely.
So that's the way I look at it.
The definition of being an expert is knowing more than everybody else in the room.
Right.
Right, that's only a definition. It doesn't mean you know it all.
Right.
It just means you know more than anybody else in that room.
Right. Yep.
So,
Fair enough.
and I think Shawn certainly says it humbly, is that out of respect for the guys and gals that have done it for 30, 40, 50 years.
Absolutely.
That have certainly earned that title of Master Distiller.
Yeah.
Right?
And then worked all over the world and everything. I've only worked here. So a lot of times I'm like, yeah, I'm the head distiller here. And hell yeah, I know what's going on. I know what we're doing, and I love it and everything. But
That's the best part.
Yeah, Master seems different to me.
Well, it doesn't matter at this point, right? I mean, you guys both... We've been drinking a little bit of whiskey during this day. We did the barrel pick right before this,
Yes.
and we picked
Happily so.
a bourbon, a rye, and a single malt. And if you guys want to talk about it, we can talk about what proofs we've already released, what years they are, and go from there if you want to start with that. And then we'll go into Rob. I want to get your history and know about you. And then Shawn, yours and what's going on. Ryan, everybody knows about yours. You've been on the podcast before, but we're going to go a little bit deeper and talk how everything grew and how it's been growing after this last year since we last did this podcast. So
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, has it been a year? That's great. Yeah,
over
right.
a year,
Probably,
yeah.
Well, we just got done picking our 10-year anniversary barrel picks for our single malt, our rye, and our bourbon. Special guest Rob Dietrich in the house from Blackened Whiskey, and also a 10th Mountain Army veteran.
Cool.
Amen. And so on July 4th, so a special day all around for all those reasons. And those whiskeys we just chose are going to be released on our 10-year anniversary, which is going to be September 5th, 6th, and 7th. So
yeah, it's exciting. So, I mean, Rob, do you want to go into, I mean, we jumped into different ones, but out of the bourbon, rye, and single malt, which one tickled your fancy the most?
You know, it's funny because I have a love for every single one of those, you know, those whiskeys. I love rye. I think, rye is definitely something that people have to have a taste for. Either you love rye or you don't love rye. I think bourbon is kind of across the board. If you're American, you love bourbon. It just seems to be, if you like whiskey and you're American, you love American whiskey, and that's bourbon. And then single malt, historically, that is where I cut my teeth in the industry on, was making single malt. So I have a very special place in my heart for single malt whiskey. To pick a favorite out of the three would be very difficult, because I feel like whiskey is a mood, and it depends on your mood and what you're feeling at the time. I absolutely love the single malt. I will say I did come back to that, and actually all three. We picked a favorite from all three. So given the right mood, I will select it again.
Do I have your permission to reference whiskey as a mood? That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
Oftentimes
Whiskey
people
is a mood.
ask us like, "What's your favorite whiskey?" I'm like, "Well, it depends on what's going on." Right?
Yeah, it's like you don't have the same song on repeat, right?
Exactly.
Your mood changes with music. It's just whiskey's the same way.
Great way to answer that question. Yeah.
That was great to me that we all had a hard time picking it up.
Yeah.
Picking what proof, what barrel, and then to actually try to pick a favorite one. I wouldn't even know how to do that right now.
Well, we had more than one favorite in each category, right. And I think that's where that just shows you the quality of the whiskey that you're making, is that there were multiple choices, that you couldn't just select it down to one. Because I liked it, I liked that proof for a reason. I liked that proof for a reason. Still the same single barrel, but I think that's what's great about whiskey is it's the subtleties of how you can take one single barrel and have so many different ways to try it. Just that one single barrel, different proofs. I think that's a testament to the quality of the whiskey.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. It certainly keeps it interesting. We have a special packaging coming up for these whiskeys to be bottled in. So we're excited to release that. We've all seen a little prelude to that, and so stay tuned for for September 5th, 6th, and 7th to release those. So
I've seen the photos, and they look incredible. I can't wait to see them in person.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, we got some new glasses in today on the 4th of July. These are actually Whiskey Wisdom glasses.
Mm-hmm.
These are double pane glasses throughout, so you're not going to actually get... Your hand's not going to warm up the whiskey whatsoever. They're great for slamming down. If you ever seen Ryan, that one dude Ryan, on Instagram, he does whiskey slams and does reviews with them. And these are the glasses he does, because he's not going to break them. They're very well balanced.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
It opens up, and every glass you buy, at least one or two trees gets planted across the world. So,
And they're
yeah.
200 mils?
Exactly. That's what I was immediately. I was like, I know what that is. Yeah.
I didn't realize you had brought them.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you to Whiskey Wisdom for providing the glassware.
And not only that, we're doing something a little bit special, a little bit unique. We're doing a chocolate rye right now, which is how old do you think this is right now?
Over 4 years, 4.5 years.
So
That's how long we've had it.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yes.
It's been sitting since I started here.
I know that for sure. Yeah.
Well, Shawn and I were literally just talking about that, because as soon as I was nosing, it was like that boom chocolate, and then like, oh hey, hello rye. I mean that is just already phenomenal on the nose.
Right at 117.4
and the chocolate just
proof. Woo.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've actually talked about this publicly.
It is.
It is.
It's something Ryan had brought up a couple of years ago, and he wanted to do something for Valentine's Day.
Well, this goes back even a little bit farther. I love sitting at home. Speaking of what mood you're in with what whiskey you like, is one of my favorite nights is sitting at home reading a book, sipping on a whiskey with a little chocolate.
Yeah.
And going back and forth. I was drinking a rye whiskey and enjoying a little chocolate bar, and like, these things gotta go. They gotta go together in a jar. And then Shawn and I were chatting, and like, this would be great to release on Valentine's Day. And it never has gotten to the point that I originally envisioned. I envisioned a ooey gooey chocolate rye whiskey of some sort, and it's not quite there, but it's still delicious nonetheless. And so, go ahead.
We looked it up and looked into it, and the chocolate part of it is that it's toasted. The grains are toasted.
Yeah.
And what actually happens is it usually comes out more coffee than chocolate. But, still something we can work with, and we've kept going for the last 4 years. It's been in the barrel, and every year we try it, and we keep seeing if it's going to be a little bit more, and I think we're happy with it pretty much now.
I think that's what I love about whiskey is that whiskey tells you when it's ready.
Right.
Like you're not. It's a waiting game, and you can't just say, "Well, I'm ready to." Bills have got to be paid, and we got to put something in a bottle. That's not the right time to harvest a whiskey.
Yeah.
You harvest it when the whiskey tells you it's ready, and that's by tasting and nosing it, and along the path, along the journey, you're like, "Oh, that's good. It's heading in the right direction, but it's not there yet." And that's what you're seeing, and now you're like, "Oh, it's there."
Yeah.
And with that chocolate malt, that was something that we used in our mash bill with Stranahan's. The chocolate malt, a little bit goes a long way because it's there. And there's coffee tones, but chocolate is chocolate. Like you get that, and right off that nose, the nose and that chocolate and the rye, beautiful balance between the two because I think that's they complement each other so well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a really unique flavor. It's different than I envisioned originally, I think, than we had talked about.
Right. Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's a lot of fun, right?
Oh, I keep stealing a mason jar or two every 6 months or so. So I'm obsessed with it.
That's research. Stealing or research,
and
home
development
research. Yeah.
But no, it's something I'm really enjoying. I think I would envision this as a winter release coming up. Doing this in a what? You had something in
I had
mind.
to know. Well, I'm getting mint and kind of a winter green out of it too.
Yeah, that's from the rye.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this would be a phenomenal winter release, especially doing this in an old fashioned with our maple syrup and adding on top of that our barrel aged maple syrup opens up a new flavor completely with it. And I'm so excited for that, just to do that in that fall winter time frame, to try something new and exciting. And just to expand people's palates.
Probably the right time to release it.
Yeah.
Which what else correlates in the fall? Oh, our 10-year anniversary does.
Oh, weird.
Perfect.
How about that?
We have a few bottles
How
of
about
this.
that? Well, 117 proof?
This is 117.4 on this one. I think the last time I pulled it from the barrel, it was 128.9.
Yeah, I was going to say that the sample that we're using was from a little bit ago. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good.
The
It's
toffee,
getting
the
stronger.
chocolate, the mint, winter green, right? It's
Yeah.
all there, isn't it?
It opens up. It's a beautiful profile.
But you think about like thin mints, right? Like chocolate and mint,
Yeah, there you
and
go.
how they go well together. I mean, this is kind of one of those things where I feel like rye tends to lean towards minty and earthy kind of flavors. Mint is herbal in that sense, and you're definitely feeling that beautiful balance between the two.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Well, besides this, Rob, let's get into your background. You have a pretty extensive background. You served in the Army. After the Army, you served in a different aspect in the music industry.
Yeah.
And then from the music industry, somehow you ended up in whiskey. So can you explain how you ended up from fighting people in Syria, Somalia, thank you for the correction, Somalia, all the way to running a distillery? I mean, that's a pretty broad spectrum right there.
I think the common theme, the common thread between all of that is whiskey, because every aspect of the way I was always enjoying whiskey. I was enjoying whiskey when I was fighting warlords in Somalia, and enjoying whiskey while I was in the music biz, and enjoying whiskey while I was making whiskey. So I think the common theme is always going to be whiskey. That's what it comes back to. And I think what's great about it is that we learn along the way in our path. Like I think I started out with whiskey and Coke because I didn't know any better. You're in a bar and you're on a an enlisted soldier's salary. You're getting the cheapest, you're getting the biggest bang for your buck, and that you're like, I don't want to drink whiskey, but I was drinking it with Coke. And I didn't realize that you could actually drink whiskey and enjoy it, not just for effect. And I think once you cross over that path, which is kind of where it was in the music business, where I was learning from other people who had, it's like, hey, you should try this whiskey, try it neat. Here's how to try it. Once someone taught me how to try whiskey and how to taste whiskey, then I was like, oh, wait a second. I can actually enjoy this. It doesn't have to hurt.
Yeah.
And then evolving into making whiskey. So I think, in military, my military career, enjoying whiskey with my brothers, and then being able to evolve that into the passion of making whiskey is kind of the thread that ties it all together.
Do you still have friendships with your battle buddies?
Oh yeah.
And I imagine they just are thrilled of the fact that you were making whiskey at Stranahan's and leading the way at Blackened, and so I imagine that's a pretty friendly relationship, and probably look up to you and or admire what you're doing now after you got out of the Army there.
It's a great way to to share, to really to be able to just share those moments. Like we get together, and I think anyone out there who's a veteran or a combat veteran, there's only stories that you're going to talk about with your brothers, and being able to supply the whiskey to help lubricate those conversations has been helpful, I think, in a lot of circumstances, and also getting to enjoy a cigar with them while we're doing that. It really is pretty extraordinary for me. Awesome to from we tried to make wine in Somalia from MRE Kool-Aid packets and some yeast that we'd gotten from the once they finally had a kitchen there. That did not turn out well.
I would imagine
that was the most foul stuff I think I've ever made on my.
We all got to start somewhere, man.
Oh my God, I didn't give up. So I think that's the whole point. It's like, don't give up. Like that was we probably all should have gone to the hospital if there was
Yeah, that prison hooch.
Yeah, there was no place to be airlifted to at that place. So, we just had to deal with the stomach cramps.
So, I mean, besides the excitement of that, you blend cigars for your company, but you also do a lot of other things. I want you to explain just a little bit about your passion for nonprofits, like our passion is here at 10th Mountain Whiskey, and my passion is running my nonprofit Basecamp 40. What brought you into this avenue, and why is it so important to you to support?
Well, I think, coming out of, I left the military in 95, and I was living in a half-size school bus in the woods, trying to deregulate. I had severe decompress, but also deregulate, and I was dealing with some pretty hardcore PTSD, coming out of that, and living in the woods. I was learning how to surf and kind of trying to reset my mind, and there wasn't really anything available to us in 95 at that time. I mean, there probably were programs, but they aren't like they are now. Sure. And I think why it's passionate for me is supporting programs that support veterans in their reintegration back to civilian life, which it's just not an easy thing to do. I was trying to find my own way into reintegrating and also dealing with mental trauma and I think there are ways to do that, but having now the resources that we do and having the community that we do and the kind of organizations that are focused on and recognizing, when I left, we were just told to suck it up and drive on. Mm-hmm. You don't acknowledge that anything affected you, and that's just not the case. We're humans, and so seeing that there are so many organizations now that is passion close to my heart, especially when you're dealing with our furry four-legged friends, that I think has always been something that I've seen a lot of success with. Not only helping veterans mentally, but on a physical front, that physical connection with canines. That's what I'm excited about. The program that you guys do and the organizations that I like to support.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryan might be a little too humble to bring this up, but speaking of canines and whatnot, he's about to get a dog from Warriors Wingman.
Yes,
which is a really cool deal. So excited to see that happen, and then hopefully we'll have that pup running around the distillery a little bit. Shawn just took off, but he's on the still right now, so he's checking a couple numbers in the back. He'll be right back.
He's working.
But yeah, it's certainly close to our hearts too, and Bryan's getting a pup here soon. Yeah,
no, it's an excitement. It's an adventure. It's something that I have a passion for. Ryan actually said that. It's something that I love to see other veterans succeed and move forwards and go from a negative connotation to that positive attribute where they're going in the right direction. They're building a better community for themselves, their family, and their friends. So it's making sure they can go forward in the right way.
I'm Dan Heath. On the What It's Like to Be podcast, I ask folks about their jobs, like what keeps a TV meteorologist up at night.
When I'm at work and there's a tornado coming into town, my husband and my kids have to get into the tornado shelter without me.
What keeps a welder driven?
I never am satisfied. I always know I can do better.
And what keeps a hairstylist on her toes?
I know she likes that Holly Berry haircut, but she doesn't look like Holly Berry.
Find out on What It's Like to Be, wherever you get your podcasts.
I couldn't agree more, and I think what's great about, there's already that camaraderie, but then taking it to the next level, and it's about healing and going in that positive direction. There's a lot of times, I think there's these dark places that people tend to say, oh, that's what PTSD will. It not always is. It's about that connection to your community, the connection to organizations that are supporting veterans, and my love for dogs. I mean, that's just a natural kind of full experience.
No, absolutely. So you grew up in Colorado.
Yes, yeah.
You're from here.
I am.
You're a unicorn like myself. We can say that now because
yes,
everybody is not from Colorado anymore. You have a bunch of implants.
I'm not. I've been here for 27 years.
You're still an implant. But you're a favorite one of ours now because you've been here long enough.
Thank you.
So we're trying to do stuff a little bit different here at 10th Mountain. I know you guys are as well at Blackened. Can you explain a little bit about your process with Blackened and how your distillation process is going?
Yeah, so we don't have a distillery that is distinctly our own. Something that I did have when I was at Stranahan's, where I learned how to make whiskey. With Blackened Whiskey, we are a blend. We've blended whiskeys from other distilleries, so we've got 5 different components in there: blended Tennessee bourbon, Indiana bourbon, Kentucky bourbon, Indiana rye, Canadian rye, all these things that we're blending together. It's always about those layering process. Now, something that I think, and I look at blending as an art form. Just like anything, if you're blending a variety of barrels, even of the same whiskey at different ages, there's some of them might be a little more chocolate forward or just more malty or sweeter, or some might be more astringent. So you're balancing out these blends to create. And I think that's what I love about the blending process is embracing that art form, where it gets unique. And I had to do a lot of research on it myself because it made sense to me, but I wanted to really dive deep, was the black noise sonic enhancement process, where we are playing low frequency music, which we helped develop with the sound company that provides that wall of sound for Metallica. And that is a very bass heavy tone. That Metallica is very bass forward. And if you think about anytime you feel bass, if you've been at a concert, you walked in from the concert, the speaker, and you feel that vibration in your chest, that movement, that's the movement that we're replicating inside the barrel. So we're playing that low frequency. So you're getting more interaction with the wood. So you think about regular aging, with a white American oak stave, with a number 3 char or number 2 char, the pores of the wood during the heat of the day are going to open up, just like kind of like the human skin does when you're warmer. Your pores open up. Wood does the same thing, and the spirit is interacting with the woods, picking up all that flavor, picking up all that char will create a natural form, caramelized sugar and flavor right there at the burn surface. So you're picking up that flavor. Well, now if you have vibration and that constant aggression, you're moving. If you think about the physical representation of a sound wave, you can see that pictured on a computer screen. That sound wave has its peaks and valleys. Those peaks and valleys are the representation of physical sound. So that of movement, that movement of sound. So what we're doing is replicating that inside the barrel. We're making that movement more rapid inside the barrel, picking up a lot more of the flavor and color from the wood in a much shorter period of time.
So is this speeding up your maturation process, you would say, or is it just adding a little different context to it?
That's why I call it an enhancement. I don't claim to speed up aging. That will definitely flip the whiskey making industry on its head if I made a claim like that. However, that is the goal, to continue to do the research and development to get to a place where I can say, yeah, we're advanced aging.
Right.
We are at advanced aging using sound, and I do feel confident that we can get to that place. But that is not what I claim to do now. That's why we call it an enhancement. The way I could see it is taking new make spirit, put into the same batch of new make spirit into 2 barrels at the same time, one in one environment that's just natural aging, another one in a different environment that has constant sonic enhancement provided to it. In the course of a year, tasting that whiskey and sending those results off to the lab as well. You're looking for 9 different flavor profile markers from the oak aroma panel that and seeing if they're elevated. And that's how we know right now that we are doing making a difference within the whiskey itself, because we have done those tests. We have seen our those samples are elevated in our sonic enhanced barrels over the barrels that have not been sonic enhanced. So there is a difference already happening. But if I can take it to a place where I can definitively prove that we can advance aging, that's the goal in the future. That's where I'm heading to.
I'm just jealous that whiskey gets to listen to Metallica its whole lifetime.
I know.
Doesn't get any better than that, man.
I know. It's a constant playlist over the course of its aging and finishing. So
that's great.
It is a lot of fun. And you think about it, like it's not like a well soundboarded concert. It's the muffled bass tone vibrations of so you're not hearing like the full kind of spectrum, I think, of a song.
Yeah, so you're not getting the high tones, you're not getting the low tones.
You're getting the deep low tones.
You're getting the deep low tones.
So it's just Lars on a bass drum over and over and over.
And Trujillo just...
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I think that's where...
Great, man.
But it is fun. I mean, just to be able to experiment with something like that, because that's led me down the rabbit hole of a number of different things of seeing sound. If you've ever seen a plate with sand on it, and they play different frequencies and they form different shapes.
Yeah,
like a snowflake does. It's pretty extraordinary. I think what we can do. I think we're just scratching the surface of what we can do.
I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal. There's other companies out there currently that are doing light enhancement with whiskey staves inside of it and then surrounding it with open clear glass and then just trying to enhance that flavors.
Yeah.
So just like that, it's a different technique, and you guys are doing the same thing. It's a different technique and a different profile currently, and hopefully you get some recognition from the whiskey community sometime in the future. It may take a few years, like it does for us, but...
Oh my God! If you're able to prove that, I mean, it's going to be the biggest thing.
It will flip the industry on its head, and I think
it will.
I think
it's just a little thing, and it's going to be such a big thing if it actually happens.
I just love the visual of having a barrel with headphones across it.
Yeah, and that's
a great visual.
That's what you think. Yeah,
it's a great.
That's definitely what you think. But if you think about the way a barrel is created, you have your two ends and the curved staves. It's almost like a kick drum, right? Yeah. You're gonna have like that kind of that bouncing effect, and the curvature of the barrel in there. I don't know exactly what's going on inside the barrel until we can really create a controlled environment where we can even study more on that.
Have you ever thought about doing clear lids on each side?
So that's something that I did at Stranahan's with the barrel. I went to our cooperage and I asked them to make a special barrel for us to have these thick glass ends so you can see the aging process. And that was not an idea I came up with. I stole that from Jameson because I saw it when I went to Middleton Distillery, and I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah. We're doing that. And so when I came back, I asked our cooperage. I was like, hey, can you make that? And they did, and I filled that barrel at new make spirit, and just to see the level of evaporation, the depth of color that starts to happen over time, less volume, darker color, but doing that with a barrel for sonic enhancement, that's something we've talked about, so we can see the vibration and what's going on the surface of the barrel. So yes, that is something we talked about.
Exciting.
It's cool, and you think about it. We're taking traditional methods of distillation, mashing, fermentation, distillation, but we're adding technology. Just like every industry, cars are no longer Model Ts, or we've evolved in technology. So why can't the whiskey and spirits industry evolve as well with the technology that we have? Look at reflex columns. You look at traditional methods in Scotland and Ireland with kind of that gooseneck. Now we can use plates and reflux and fine tune our process.
Well, could we change that up and just go back to the Model Ts? Because I would love to have those compared to all the electric crap that we have out in the road
just
right
a
now.
crank and you're going to start up. You don't need a battery. Just keep on going.
That's all I need.
Rob, one of the most unique things I think with your guys' bottles is the actual label and the sound waves that are on the label and where that comes from.
That's
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The sound wave on the front of the Blackened whiskey bottle is you'll see a physical sound wave and then the word blackened over that sound wave. So when you're looking directly at the bottle, so one that represents the black noise process, the sonic enhancement process. Two, it's a subtle nod to the origin of the ownership of the brand, which is Metallica. But the other big Easter egg on there that people don't really realize is that it's James Hetfield, the lead singer, singing the word blackened. And that is what that sound wave is. So you get that you kind of that Easter egg. If you know, you know. If you don't,
I don't know who
it's
thought
something
of that.
fun to discover.
I love it. It's brilliant. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal idea, and I love the aspect. I think it stands out. I think it's really and such a fun thing to learn. We're always playing around with grain and milling grain and mashing and fermentation and yeast and playing around with sound has been a lot of fun because it's that was my old industry in the music biz. And now with whiskey and tying all those things together,
a whole different level.
It's something to play, to have fun playing with.
Yeah,
and that that's why we're here. Is like we to create new whiskey, to create a chocolate rye because you want to, right? You're doing that because you want to play around. There's the staples that we've created. Your black your 10th Mountain bourbon, the things that you're happy with you're okay. We've made it. Now we're going to keep going with it. We're going to keep evolving it and fine tuning it. But now we're going to make other things, and that's the discovery and the artistry of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love that's what you guys are doing is always trying to find something new to play around with as well.
Exactly, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Shawn, going after that, I know we're just talking about Rob and how his process goes.
Right.
Can we drink some whiskey?
Yeah, drink it.
That's what we're just there. We're just
Un
there.
momento, por favor. So, going off of this and everything that you've created, I mean, you've been here since day one. You went to Moonshine University with Ryan in Class 1 at Moonshine U.
Class 2.
Close enough.
Class 2?
Close enough. I was in Class 1. He came after.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Close enough.
The story you told me is
semantics.
you guys went to the same class.
Semantics.
But when we're going after this and we're going into these blends, it's what gave you the process? What gave you the excitement to use these different mash bills across the board?
That really wasn't a thing, honestly, at the beginning. I mean, we kind of knew what we wanted to do, and we stuck to that. We found a gentleman from Moonshine University, and he kind of showed us what to do, and he was out here for a day and a half. Honestly, that's how long he was here, and he was just like, you got it. You know what you're doing.
He gave us way too much credit. Kudos and
It was like, wait, Pete's leaving tomorrow? I couldn't believe it. And but I mean, we had a good base of knowledge, and we had somebody who cared and wasn't going to be killing us if things weren't going right at the beginning. Ryan was, realized that we didn't know what we were doing exactly, and we just learned, and we learned, and we learned. We had these 5-gallon barrels from right when we started. We each had one for us and our dads. They were almost poison.
They weren't that bad. They weren't that bad. My dad drank some. Maybe not all. He drank some. But I think, Shawn, the most important, going even rewind a little bit before then, Shawn and I have known each other for 25 years. We've been at this business together for 10 years, 11 years, however you want to look at it. And neither one of us had a background in
not at all
working at a distillery. I had a background a little bit in home brewing and then playing around with a still a little bit after that. But I came to Shawn. Shawn was a little bit burned out. He was bartending around town for 20 years, roughly, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, hey, man,
that's my story forever. Ryan came to me at the bar I was working at. He was like, I need to take you to breakfast tomorrow. And I was like, I'm not busy right now. Just talk to me right now. He's like, no, I got to talk to you. And he told me everything the next day. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are going to kill it. That's amazing. I can't believe no one's, doing a distillery here in the Valley. You guys. And then I was like, but he wanted me to run the tasting room, right?
Remember that?
I bartended forever in the Valley, and I knew a million people, and I was just like, oh, man, I'm just too old. Need to do something else. He said, well, what if you learned how to make whiskey? And I was like, okay.
Done.
You knew enough about it from a consumer's perspective at that point, right?
Exactly.
From serving for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know the process of actual distillation and making it. So.
And he said he was going to go into Louisville, and that he would send me. And that was it.
Wow.
That's huge.
So,
I mean, before day one, you guys knew each other. You grew as a company, and you can say you're a pretty pronounced company now. 26 different states as we speak, 40 different states you ship to, and then there's different companies from all around the world reaching out to me personally asking, hey, when are you going to come out here? When's the distribution going to come to Italy, Dubai, Abu Dhabi? I mean, I'm having companies from Japan reach out now. So it's absolutely phenomenal seeing how you guys are doing it and where you came from to where it is today. So it's expanding, and people know your name worldwide. That's amazing.
You're going to make us blush, buddy.
You're welcome.
Sorry. I'm about to blush over here, man.
But it's honest. You guys are developing something like Metallica has. They started out as a band that no one knew, and then grew and grew and grew. And look who they are today. Fucking the top rock band in the world.
Right.
When you think about how they've evolved too, as a band, as musicians, as people, that's the way whiskey is too. You keep approaching your craft, you learn from your mistakes. That's the thing. You have to make things 99 times that are terrible or not good enough to be able to get that 100th time where like, oh, this is phenomenal. This is what we're choosing. This is what goes into the bottle today. You have to make mistake after mistake after mistake to know what is going to be good. You don't just come out of the gate knowing everything, and that's the beauty of the journey of life for everything, I think, but especially in whiskey is like we learn from those mistakes. We're like, hey, that didn't work. We know that we don't ever need to do that again. Hey, this works. It could work differently if we shifted it this way, and that's what if we tried it this way. Just like we're tasting today, you've got chocolate malt, which I'm very, very familiar with making single malt, and then you've got this rye kick on the other side of it. This beautiful kind of symbiotic relationship between the two whiskeys. I think that's the evolution of learning and honing your craft, just like that.
One good thing about our industry, those 99 mistakes.
Are always there.
People are always there. We couldn't have timed that any better. I have no idea what just dropped. But that was amazing.
What the fuck was that?
Are those 99
precious
mistakes?
crystal in the world decided to drop it right then?
Fuck you, Ben.
There's a saying out there that you give it to your in-laws, right? Someone's going to drink it. Someone's going to enjoy it. Our mistakes might be, someone else might enjoy it, and so be it. It's great, right?
My drunk uncle, he'd drink anything.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
right? Yes, exactly.
You want the refined uncle that is like, hey, this is great.
Actually bottle and sell it, exactly.
So normally during this time frame, we ask a random question, and it involves a squirrel. As you know, military, squirrel brain is a fucking thing. You go from one direction to another direction to another direction, then you go back to a fucking tree and lose your nuts.
As efficiently as possible.
So Ryan, I asked Ryan to come up with a squirrel question for this episode. Do you have one? Have you thought of one?
Yes.
Ask him. I've
got a friend that makes toys for squirrels. And if I can remember what the correct name of his company is, it's Squirrels Just Want to Have Fun is the name of his toy brand for squirrels.
Okay.
Much like a birdhouse.
Funny already.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
I would rather he call it Squirrels Gone Wild. but that's for another conversation. If you were a squirrel,
I got some visuals on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
What would be your favorite toy to play with?
Well, I mean, all right. So, I'm still back at the beginning that he started a toy company for squirrels.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how profitable that's going to be. Who's buying toys for squirrels?
Well, he's done all kind of research on birdhouses. It's kind of the same idea. So,
Yeah, I could see that. The first thing I was thinking of was, I don't know why I was thinking avocados, because there's a toy in every avocado, right? There's a wooden ball in every avocado, so you have an automatic comes with a wooden toy.
Right.
So I think
it's like a Happy Meal.
Right, it's like Happy Meal. Comes with a toy. But I don't know why, but for some reason I was thinking like knitting, like yarn. Like squirrels are constantly running back and forth from trees,
right?
And I could see it's like we're going to create the next version of spider webs or something out of yarn. I could see squirrels with a ball of yarn and tree branch to tree branch to tree branch to tree branch to tree branch, and then after a while you're like, this looks cool.
Made a spider
This
web.
is just it's amazing.
Great.
I think you just picked the next spy novel, just trying to figure out where the squirrel's going and try to follow the string.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're like, here's one ball of yarn, here's one day, and filming that squirrel all day and see what happens.
Just do it digitally too.
By the time you're done, you're like you want to see what's been created with that ball of yarn.
Yeah, where's the squirrel gone?
Yeah.
Well, that was a squirrely question.
Yeah. And a squirrely answer.
Yeah, so with this rye, have you guys tried the rye yet?
I'm sipping on this first chocolate. Is that what you're talking about?
Chocolate. Yeah, the chocolate.
Yeah.
No, dive into it. Let's see.
I have been. Was I supposed to wait?
No, I didn't wait. There's no waiting.
There was whiskey in front of me.
Of course. I was going to just open the mason jar.
I just did what came naturally.
Chocolate, mint, wintergreen, it all comes to the front for me.
And on the nose, I keep getting a little bit of buttered popcorn too.
Yes.
You get that chocolate, you get the rye, but there's a little buttered popcorn on the nose.
I'm almost getting that caramel relief off of it. If you try that, it's kettle corn to an extent. So it's
chocolate kettle corn.
Chocolate kettle corn.
Yeah.
I would. God, fuck. Now I got to make that.
Yeah.
But that's going to be something interesting. So you're getting
with like a little chipotle spice on it.
There's definitely
but chipotle, like that earthiness of like a chipotle, which I love. I think
Shawn, what's the plan to bottle this?
We don't have anything. I mean, the maple's still sitting there, so that stuff's ready to go whenever.
Yeah. So maybe this fall or winter, when like Bryan was alluding to, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say an adventure time to do like a
holiday deal.
Why don't we do like a Halloween deal with it? A chocolate bourbon and a chocolate rye on Halloween and release
sometime here in the next 6 months, right? Possibly.
It's an adventure.
Yeah, great.
We never know.
I mean, I know this was originally inspired by Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Chocolate and whiskey. So maybe it's but that's a little bit farther out than 6 months.
That's all right. Yeah.
Well,
that's good.
But I would say more Thanksgiving because we were doing our thing in August.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Give a little space between. More Thanksgiving.
We'll see if the lovers out there went around Valentine's Day.
More Thanksgiving than Halloween.
Well, if you guys...
Not even Valentine's Day. In the fall.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
It's a fall flavor.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it this way. People are listening out there. Comment on the video. Comment on the podcast. Reach out to Rob. Reach out to myself. 10th Mountain Whiskey. We'll see what the best avenue is and just give us your opinions, and we'll combine them all together and do a short video saying, hey, we're going to release it at this date now because of your comments.
Great.
So,
sweet.
Awesome.
Love
What's
it.
next? We got something next?
We have nothing next unless you guys want to continue on. These are our winners from the picks.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And then we actually have the chocolate bourbon, too, if you guys want to do a little chocolate bourbon.
Sure.
To end it off. And then
let's do it.
You already obviously poured us some.
Well, no, that was just the rye.
That's what these are too.
Oh no, those are the samples. That's the blend.
I forget.
I think that's Meredith's
bourbon and chocolate.
Oh, good. That's a chocolate bourbon or no?
I don't know.
No, this is the chocolate bourbon.
No.
Yeah, I got
Take
it.
it.
Okay. Oh yeah.
You poured the rye already, but
Correct.
Yeah.
Rye, not the bourbon.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're already getting those candy notes of bourbon on the nose. Not.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
But not as much chocolate as you do with the chocolate rye. So this is 115.2 proof.
Candy pecan, right?
3 years ago.
Candy pecan or something, right?
Yeah,
3 years ago. So right now, when I pulled this last year, probably in November, December timeframe when I pulled it last, it was at 129. So
yeah. All right. So I know this is going to date me, and we might lose some people here, but do any of you remember Stuckey's?
yes.
If you're traveling across country now, it's a flying J is where you go, you pull in and get your gas. But they had Stuckey's, and Stuckey's was like kind of the original like kind of gas station you go and you on a cross country road trip.
Maverick now.
And they had Maverick, that's the other one. So Stuckey's used to have these pecan logs, Stuckey's pecan logs, and they were just I always loved those things as a kid, and you can only get them at Stuckey's.
Yeah. This reminds me of that.
This is that Stuckey's pecan log. Long story to get back to that flavor profile, but
you're going back to what, your teenage years?
Yeah, and younger,
right?
I'm traveling across the country because my parents, we always road tripped. My relatives are back east, so we'd always drive back, and I've driven back with my uncle, and he loved those pecan logs, and he was the one who got me into them.
Yeah. Were your folks whiskey drinkers?
No, they not until I started making whiskey.
Yeah.
And even then, it's only when I come over and we're sipping whiskey.
Yeah, right.
They were never really much, for drinking. My dad liked the hippie lettuce.
Yeah, right, sure. My mom did not drink at all. She appreciated the brand. She was very patriotic and supportive of the military. She wasn't a drinker at all, but my dad made up for it, and my dad was my drinking buddy and one of my best friends, and he was probably our best supporter here, and loved the whiskey we made, and loved the brand we stood for, and all. So
that's phenomenal to your dad.
Yeah, and the family for sure, man. Yeah, cheers, right?
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, definitely. Cheers, guys.
Oh man, I gotta reach.
That's far reach, Bryan. Thank you for standing up.
Yeah, it's fucking T-Rex arms.
Rob, it's Bourbon with Friends here. It's a kind of a different audience than who we were speaking with earlier. And being in a unique position of representing Metallica's whiskey brand. I think there's probably 50 million people that would trade positions with you right now.
Wow.
It's incredibly cool. A lot of people look up to you, admire it, or you're in a cool position to know the band personally. You're a fan of their music. Where are you guys going? Did you ever think you'd be here? Let's talk a little bit about all that.
Well, all of the above. I got to say, for me, it's a very humbling experience. Just an honor to be doing what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with. It feels very natural to me. Coming from that music background and the whiskey background. It's something that I don't take for granted at all.
Yeah.
It's something I know that I'm very very fortunate and very blessed to be in this situation and embracing it. And that's exactly what the biggest thing that I can do is I think the way the music has always been represented. And anybody who's ever listened to Metallica, whether they're a fan or not, they understand how they approach the world. They do everything 1,000%. Everything is meticulous. You think about their studio albums have been just gone over and gone over and gone over and layered and relayered until they have perfected that song. And they haven't destroyed the beautiful thing it started with in the beginning. They just added to it until it is the perfect thing for it to be released out into the world, into the wild. And I think that's what we do with the whiskey. Is it's that same kind of approach. I want it to be perfect. I want to keep fine tuning it. And there's some songs that don't have to be perfect. In their imperfection, they are perfect. And I think that's what's great about one. They started out as thrash metal. And I think they've evolved. They've certainly evolved. And you look at the generations of people that, when I'm there at a show and I'm seeing a 6-year-old and I'm seeing an 80-year-old. I've brought my dad to a Metallica concert. And he's in his He's in his 70s, and I think, he's like, it's not my type of music. He goes, but I appreciate their professionalism. There's something that he appreciated about it. He even gave me a card to give to James. He's like, a thank you card. Cool. That's old school, right? He's like, that's awesome. Thank you. I enjoyed the experience, and and what I love about how they've embraced all these generations of fans. Whiskey is kind of the same way. It used to be that you were drinking the whiskey that your dad drank, and your dad drank the whiskey that your grandfather drank, and that's what you drank. Well, now we have choices. We have so many great distillers out there making great whiskey. Everybody's doing it a different way. They're doing it with their own passion and their own style. And I think it's just like music. We don't listen to just one type of music all the time. We like to try different types of whiskey. It goes back to that whiskey mood. Right. What mood am I in? What do I want to drink this whiskey now? Why do I want to listen to this music now? And I think being able to work with Metallica, be able to create an incredible whiskey, is kind of a culmination of all those experiences. I get to flex my artistry and really dive deep into the creative aspect of it, and it's being understood by artists who create themselves. So they're always creating, so they give me that room to be able to do so. And I think being able to work on something like this, to be able to collaborate with you guys with your 10th anniversary whiskey is part of that embracing and that ethos that Metallica has that we've embodied with our whiskey and that we embody with our community.
Well, I mean, not only that, but Metallica still has the record to this day for the largest concert venue in the world out of Russia.
In Russia, yes.
Most people don't know that.
Yeah,
I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
what year and how big was it? Yeah, what's it?
Oh, God.
It was in the late 80s.
It was 87?
It was right after, James had gotten, had a pyro accident in Canada, which we were just in Montreal last year at the venue, and it had been 30 years since he had been on that stage in that venue when he had, and right after that they were in Russia,
right,
and they played that, and he still had his arms bandaged from that injury, so that was late, that was
87 to 89.
And how big
it had to be early 90s, I guess.
Was it?
Really? Yeah, it had to be early 90s, because you think 35 years, maybe 35 years.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be 89.
89. So and Justice for All.
It was over 1 million people.
Was it really?
1.3 million people. They had 4 different projector TVs going down in aisles.
In towers, sound towers that went all the way back, just a sea of people. It's incredible. If you ever look and to this day they hold the record for the largest concert and largest mass of people ever
for a single venue. By the way, this wasn't a whole concert for multiple bands out there. Yeah. This was Metallica based. Yeah, there was a starter and everything else like that, but this was just a Metallica concert.
Yeah. And they break records. They're the only band who has ever played all 7 continents.
Yep.
So they played Antarctica, and because the ecosystem was so fragile there, they had to agree to do it inside of a dome, and everybody had to wear headphones. They couldn't play, just out. They had to play headphones. So it was to the all the researchers who were on Antarctica at the time, and a select group of contest winners, I think, and just to be able to do something like that extraordinary, so cool. Be the only band who's played on all 7 continents. That's so breaking records, and I think that's embracing just that constant. That breaking down barriers. That's what it's about.
So it's like Blackened. You're breaking down barriers in a different direction. You're moving the right forwards, just like 10th Mountain.
Yes.
So I mean, you guys are blending it together. You're doing the right things. You're doing a distiller's pick, and you just did it today. And then who knows? Maybe down the line we'll collaborate in a different avenue, in a different approach. But we're not going to
climb to glory.
Yeah,
to the top, buddy.
To
the top.
Yeah.
And one of our sayings around here is "drink to glory" as well.
Yes.
And to the bottom.
To the bottom. So.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
Yep. Exactly. Right.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Shawn's in the back right now.
It's a pleasure.
He's on the still
appropriately.
He is working his ass off and drinking his ass off at the same time, which is great.
He's multitasking.
He never does this.
He doesn't.
No. No. It's
Ryan,
it's
thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Bryan,
This
thank
is
you.
absolutely a pleasure to have you on, Rob. Everybody out there, remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Stay positive, stay neat.
Where can they find Rob on you have some personal socials?
Yeah. So I'm at Whiskey Rob on
At Whiskey Rob?
At Whiskey Rob on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm not much on Facebook. It freaks me out. I don't know why. But I'm learning to embrace it. Instagram. You will find me on Instagram. That's generally where I post things. We're also blackenedwhiskey.com or at Blackened American Whiskey.
And as you guys know,
Instagram.
10th Mountain is 10th MTN Whiskey on all social media platforms, as well as you can find us on 10thwhiskey.com and go throughout that. And then Bourbon with Friends, you guys already know, you're listening to it right now. We appreciate you. We love you. And Adriane and Martin, have a great day off. Again, thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you to all the vets keeping us free on 4th
Yes.
of July. Cheers, guys.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers.
You guys. Yeah,
And
cheers.
thank you. Thank you for the hospitality. Thanks for making great whiskey and supporting the veterans community.
Amen to that.
It's an
Absolutely.
honor.
That's it for this episode of Bourbon with Friends. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a review to make it easier for others to find the show. You can also check us out on Instagram at Bwfpodcast. Thanks for listening.